Our top story at 11, an arrest in the shooting death of a teenager at a West Macon Chick-fil-A.
Shocking and it's sad, but we're seeing it all too often,
A teen is dead after an attempted robbery. Just ahead, the charges his own friends are now facing.
Stop the killing because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You take someone's life, your life over already. Anyway.
The Bibb Sheriff's Office working their 32nd homicide. That's 2 more homicides than they had all of last year. Details on the South Macon shooting that took a 17-year-old's life.
I can't imagine what his mom is going through, because that was their baby. No matter, Mike was 18, but that still was their baby.
But nobody deserved to be killed the way she was killed.
The family of a teen shot and killed this morning in Macon says forgiveness won't come easy.
One man is dead and 2 of his friends are in jail tonight, charged with his death. That's after a gunfight during an attempted robbery. Bibb County deputies say a 15-year-old was walking down Walnut Street around midnight on Saturday when 4 men pulled up in a Toyota Camry. 2 men got out of the back seat of the car demanding money. When the 15-year-old did not cooperate, he was shot several times.
Right now, authorities are wrapping up the scene of a deadly shooting in East Macon. Yvonne, what can you tell us?
Caitlin, that's right. We have new updates in this case. We now know the name of the 18-year-old who was shot and killed here this morning. Coroner Leon Jones says that woman's name is Chandrika Adams. She just turned 18 on Tuesday.
You know, it's very sad, in Macon, Georgia right now.
Hayward said Adams rode to the hospital with her sister Wednesday night to see her have a baby, but as one life came into the world, Adams left hours later, leaving her family trying to find answers.
Coming home, didn't bother nobody, didn't have many friends, but, she was well known.
As Hayward prepares to bury his stepdaughter, he says that these killings must stop.
I mean, it's just senseless killing that's going on, all the drive-bys, and nobody deserved to die like that.
One teenager died and another one is in the hospital after a shooting in South Macon this morning, according to a Bibb County Sheriff's Office release just after 12:30. Police found a 16-year-old male shot dead on a stoop.
According to the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, a cookout was taking place inside this building back behind me here when someone drove by and fired several shots into the crowd, injuring 3 and killing 1.
The sheriff's office says they found 16-year-old Calvin Harvey lying dead on the stoop with a gunshot to his body, a situation Curry says is becoming all too common in Macon.
Our top story tonight, a Macon teenager shot and killed, but investigators still don't know where it happened. According to Sergeant Clay Williams with the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, a friend drove 18-year-old Daquan Fox to the emergency room at Navison Health around 7 o'clock tonight. He was pronounced dead at 7:14 p.m.
Investigators arrested 2 teenagers in connection with the death of another Macon teen. According to a news release from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, 18-year-old DeJuan Daniels Jr. and 17-year-old son Travian Hernandez were both charged in the murder of Daquan Fox.
Lori, Daquan Fox died shortly after 7 p.m. in the hospital right behind me.
The family of Daquan Fox shared these pictures of the 18-year-old. Sergeant Clay Williams with the Bibb County Sheriff's Office says Fox was shot on the left side of his back Sunday night.
Yes, Lori, the Sheriff's Office tells us that Leonard Spivey Jr. was killed right inside of the Chick-fil-A. Now, I was told that Spivey was involved in an altercation outside, but at the very least, he was trying to get away from his attacker.
Julian Charles Moncrief has been charged with murder in the death of Leonard Spivey Jr.
Sadly, he isn't the only person who has been taken from this family by violence.
Little Leonard was a good kid.
Cynthia Murphy has known Leonard Spivey Jr. since he was little. On Tuesday, Spivey was taken from his family at a place known for family.
As long as I've been knowing him, I ain't never known him being no trouble.
But that's what he found at the Chick-fil-A on Bloomfield Road. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office says Leonard was in an argument involving several people outside of the restaurant. He was trying to get away and ducked inside when an employee stepped out.
One of the people followed him and was armed with a firearm, followed him into the store and shot him.
18-year-old Julian Charles Conquis was arrested and charged with murder in Leonard's death. He actually contacted authorities about an injury to his elbow that he said he got at the Chick-fil-A. A homicide adding to the growing total in Macon.
6 Macon teens charged in 4 homicides, all in less than 1 month. The wave of shootings has left several families in mourning, while others are asking what can be done to stop the violence.
Bibb County Sheriff David Davis made an emotional appeal to parents, asking them to step up and get their kids help before they take the wrong path.
If you see your child is on a misguided path, no matter how much you don't give them, where you got to do something to try to stop it.
Another teen killed overnight in Macon brings the total homicides in Bibb County this year to 32. 6 of those killed teenagers between the ages of 16 and 18.
The sheriff calls the problem a striking trend. The suspect in last night's homicide captured within hours of the shooting. 17-year-old Jerice Pollard, seen here, is the latest teen charged with homicide.
Investigators say Pollard shot and killed 17-year-old Pedro Garcia on Villacrest Avenue. Sheriff David Davis says Garcia's shooting death appears to be the result of a robbery or an altercation. The sheriff says the trend of teens turning to violence will require much more than a quick fix.
To have the conditions present in our community that will cause us to have 32 homicides, and it's going to take us a while to get out of it. And it's going to take us a while to change some of those underlying community and cultural issues that have brought us to this point.
So far to date this year, the number of homicides in Bibb has already surpassed last year's total of 30 and comes just 5 short of the record set back in 1992 when 37 people were killed.
Last year, 3 of those deaths included teenagers.
In 2016, we reported that Macon-Bibb had roughly 30 active gangs and 600 active members. Now, Lieutenant Cedric Penson says those numbers have gone down. I spoke to a Macon woman who says she's still affiliated with a local gang, but since her son was killed in a gang shootout in 2014, her perspective on the groups has changed.
Vigilant. I mean, we are relentless in what we do.
Inside the Macon-Bibb gang unit, investigators sift through guns, drugs, and other evidence.
Each one of these persons have a certain look about themselves.
Lieutenant Cedric Penson scrolls through photos of known gang members.
We target primarily the leaders.
Penson says since Macon's police department and the Bibb County Sheriff's Office merged 4 years ago, they've increased the number of gang investigators on the squad and built stronger relationships with the FBI, the District Attorney's Office, and pardons and paroles. Since then, Penson says they've cut the number of active gang members on the street from around 600 in 2016 to closer to 500 now in 2018.
Based on our numbers and what I see in other cities, we are more aggressive in dealing with the problem.
Penson says it takes a lot to shut down a gang, and it doesn't happen overnight. But with all the recent violence in Macon-Bibb, one thing keeps him motivated.
It only takes to see a child being buried. It only takes a mother to be crying.
A mother like Nikki Johnson.
Children should bury parents. Parents shouldn't bury children.
Johnson admits that she and her son, Corey Hollingshed, were both active gang members in 2014, the year he was killed in a gang-related shooting at Wings Cafe.
I don't want more mothers to join my shoe gang. You know, walking my shoes as a parent or as a mother of a murdered son.
Now, like the gang unit, she's advocating for peace and education.
Bibb deputies arrested a second teenager in the county's latest homicide. Jerice Pollard and Tasia Deshawn Coleman both face murder charges in the shooting death of 17-year-old Pedro Garcia. With those arrests, Coleman and Pollard are added to the list of now 8 Bibb County teenagers who are charged in homicides this summer.
All of those teen homicide suspects are accused of shooting another teen to death. We've heard from people in law enforcement, pastors, even neighborhood watch coordinators over the past few days. Tonight, we're hearing from Macon teens themselves.
I believe everybody has a chance, and people dying young really messes with me because you're not really getting a chance to live your life. So, but out there, it was just like, why did that happen? What was the reason for it? And sometimes you ask why and you never figure out. So. Band is a big part for me. It keeps me out of trouble now. It keeps me out of trouble. It keeps my head right.
Friend of my age that I lost, you know, that I don't want to be like that. You know, I try to do good in the right way. Find something you like doing to keep you busy, to keep you out in the streets, you know, doing other bad things that you shouldn't be doing. stay away from all the negative people in your life.
Most of the people that hang around, like, they influence that and they look up to those people. So if you doing bad, like, they gonna do bad too. So I try to do good, so maybe I rub off on my friends.
Caitlin Heck spoke with two young men who say they could have easily been another crime stat, but chose not to be.
Adrian Alexander, 28.
Cortez Lester, 24 years old.
I'm a teacher now. I'm a coach over there at Southwest.
I work down at the Mentorship project. I go in each middle school, a different middle school each day.
I didn't have a mother-father figure. I knew of them, but they wasn't in my life.
I have a mother, my grandmother.
Football. That football helped me out a lot. I think if I wouldn't have played football, I'd probably been in jail or dead right now. But nowadays, you know, you got kids knowing what guns is. They slinging guns. They not slinging a basketball, football.
Kids will wake up and grab their gun before they brush their teeth. And that's sad. I mean, it's not kill to be killed, but you try to make it back home.
We didn't need no gun back then, but it's a change of scenery. Well, now, I think everybody should have a gun because you don't know who out for you or who will take you out.
I know 13 years old guns. Not no little guns, big guns. I don't know how to get them, but they got them.
It's that serious, it's that deep down here right now.
Seeing young guys probably like 7th graders smoking weed. Yeah, just shocked at me too. But you know how to smoke weed, but you can't sit here and read this book.
I was an A honor roll student. I just applied myself, and I didn't want to fail myself and the people who was around me. So I could give good feedback and knowledgeable things to the students, to my students, and tell them they can make it.
Kids now don't have no guidance, trying to teach them from wrong to right.
You need those type of people around for you can cut out some of that bad activity they got going on.
I remember church van used to come in the neighborhood. You would want to get on a church van, and if you didn't go, you still would get on. Kids probably don't even know what church van is. I haven't seen one come through in a minute.
I just want to be a leader for my city, man. I just want to show them that great things can happen if you apply yourself.
And I just want to let Macon know, like, people out here that's willing to give you all the opportunities in the world if you just make better decisions.
And after spending nearly 3 decades in prison, Jerry Anderson, the man once known as the king of cocaine in Macon, is back on the streets. Former President Barack Obama commuted his sentence last year, along with more than 200 others doing time for drug-related charges.
As part of our 13 Investigates coverage on teen violence in Macon, Anderson agreed to sit down with our Caitlin Heck for his first interview to discuss how the drug and crime culture in Macon has changed since his days as a kingpin. Anderson also shared why he's using his new chance at life to keep children from ruining theirs.
They are both charged with possession of cocaine.
I sold it every day. And the more I sold, the more money I made, the more I bought. I was making back then. I want me to say how much I made back then? Back then I was probably making about $1,250,000 a week.
Within about 5 years, Jerry Anderson had built quite the empire in the late 80s, selling cocaine throughout Macon and central Georgia.
I got 40 guys working for me.
He was in his 20s, with cars, clothes, extra money to spend on anything and anyone. Quite a different lifestyle for someone who grew up with hardly any food on the table.
I grew up in Timber Heights Project. It was hard. It was 8 of us. My mama made 9.
And the king of cocaine, as he was known, had no intention of stepping down from his throne.
Back then I was locked in on selling drugs, because nothing got me away. I had to go to jail. That's the only way I could get right.
And in 1991, that is exactly what happened. He was sentenced to life in prison.
But I told myself when I was in prison laying in my bed, I said it was a bad mistake.
He didn't miss the life he had, but the one he could have had played out in his mind on repeat for almost 30 years.
I went to Knoxville College. I was playing football, but I left. A girl called me on the telephone. She said, Jerry, I'm pregnant. I need you to come home and help me. I didn't know I should have went to my coach and said he'd have got me a job at a night job. I didn't know that. I had a lot of pro scouts looking at me. I could have went to the NFL.
Now a free man since December, he's just happy to score a paycheck.
I don't never want to do the wrong thing no more. That's why I work at Purdue. Chicken hard, but I get that check. It's the right thing to do.
The right thing to do. Anderson's new focus, because he sees now he's not the only one that had to pay for his bad decisions.
I know a lot of parents, because back in the day, I put a lot of them on the drugs. And I see them now, a lot of them still on the drugs now. So I fought myself for that. So that's why I said, if any way I can help her kids or his kids, then that's my job. I'm supposed to help them because I messed up their mom and dad. I apologize for that.
And he wants to reach these teens before they deal their own dreams away.
Leave the drugs alone because it's going to take it. You can't win. You ain't going to never win selling drugs.
Anderson says teens now face more problems than he ever did. Gangs, new drugs, more guns, and fewer people and places to give them a way out.
Because it ain't but two places to go. Prison or out to the cemetery. Which one you want to do?
A teenager is dead after a drive-by shooting in East Macon.
Our morning reporter Wanye Reese joins us live on Warpath Road. Wanye, deputies say they are investigating this as a homicide.
That's exactly right, Aaron and Caitlin. The crime scene investigation units are actually out here on the scene right now. But here's what we know. We know that 16-year-old Kendrick Davis was shot and killed early this morning. Now, this marks the 7th teenager to be killed here in Bibb County.
The Bibb County Sheriff's Office says now they have made 2 arrests in the drive-by shooting of 16-year-old Kendrick Davis.
Deputies today arrested 18-year-old Jamon Jackson and later 16-year-old Troy Jackson. The killing is Macon's 7th teenage homicide this year.
But today, 16-year-old Troy Jackson first appeared in court, wiping tears from his eyes as he faced a Superior Court judge. He was sent back to the Regional Youth Detention Center awaiting trial. Sheriff David Davis says while this is the 7th teen homicide, they all appear to be arguments, this one about a girl.
When you have these homicides involving teens killing teens, you've really disrupted and destroyed 2 families.
Yeah, Frank and Lori, Spiegel says, of course, he was surprised to get a call from his alarm system around 2:30 this morning. But what he saw in the surveillance tape surprised him even more. Just before 3 Wednesday morning, the security alarms blared at the Quality Computer Systems on Riverside Drive. The owner says someone broke in through a side door and sliced through 2 walls to get inside the shop.
When I looked at the video, it was a very young man, probably 12 to 14 would be my guess, who broke in here with an older adult male.
As owner Brad Spiegel watched the surveillance footage, something stood out.
It really sounded like a father-son conversation. He was walking him through how to be able to get through a motion sensor without the motion sensor going off. He was walking the kid through why they're slicing through a wall rather than opening a door. How to remove stuff so that less motion sensors are able to see it.
Spiegel says the other voice sounds like it's coming from an adult man, but he never appears on camera.
The adult male made sure that he was out of view.
But in the end, Spiegel says these are just material things that have been taken. He's much more concerned with the young man's future.
If you have the ability to volunteer for an organization and give your time as an adult male, whether you're white, black, orange, anything, they need you to give time so that there are kids out there who don't have a male role model at home who really need one.
With so many killings, it can be easy to lose sight of what every single one of them really represents, a person who leaves behind family and friends. The killings began just 8 days into 2018 with Ida Mae Ford shot to death less than a block from her home.
A lot of people miss her.
11 months later, Tanisha Hammonds became Macon's latest homicide victim, shot in the head just days before Christmas. In an instant, her baby son Amari became suddenly motherless. Many of the victims were young. 16 were 23 years old or younger. 7 of them were teenagers. 1 was still a baby. Some of the alleged killers were young, too.
Especially these babies that are killing each other. So we lose life on one side with a person that
with a person that's gone, and then we lose them on the other side when they get arrested.
Every crime was unique, but if there was one thing connecting them all, it's what they left behind: grief. Bibb Sheriff's Office investigator Dominique Williams sees it firsthand.
I've seen a mother scream out. I've seen fathers break down on their knees because their child is gone.
Coroner Leon Jones sees it too. He says 2018 has been especially violent.
This is Macon, Georgia. This is not Fulton, DeKalb, Cobb, where you expect to see all this. We at 40?
40 lives taken suddenly, leaving families so many times thinking the same thing.
Kind of catching myself saying, you know, to myself, you know, why my son? Well, I kind of thought later that was kind of selfish, but because, I mean, I wouldn't want this to happen to anybody's son.